It's like if you're drowning. If you imagine yourself submerged in water and you can't breathe, it's that panic. You can't think about anything else but the fact you're drowning. I was having like anxiety attacks. You know, at 7 years old, 6 years old, I'd be in the classroom and I'd calculate when I'd have to read my line or how many people and how many lines do they read until it gets to me and think about it. But I'd start to have mini panic attacks and I didn't realise that was what it was. Like I was diagnosed with dyslexia when I was maybe 7. As with everything in school, everything's divided and I was in the bottom swimming set. My teacher said, right, well, you know, we're going to move you up into the top set. And I was ecstatic. I was so excited. I went home, I told my mum, I was really proud, I told everyone. Because also that was like an achievement. I didn't achieve a lot. I didn't get good grades in much. I was too shy to do any clubs. So actually that was a really big deal for me to be proud of something. And then I went back to school the next day. They were reading out the lessons or the 2 sets and I wasn't in the top set. So I went back home after school that day and obviously I told my mum, you know, they've not moved me up. She just started crying and she stomped down to the school and like sobbing profusely. And so things like that, why would you want to hurt your family? Why would you want to see your family cry? So I think you just learn. Well, I did anyway. You just don't let on to how you're feeling because it sort of just makes everyone else hurt instead. And I hate that feeling. I hate that feeling that people are upset or hurt or even like wasting a second on thinking about how I am or thinking about me. It doesn't sit right. Because I think I've always had anxiety attacks. And I think as being a little kid, I'd talk about it and then I slowly stopped talking about it. And so I think when you stop talking about how you're feeling, stop talking about what's upsetting you or what doesn't sit right with you, my anxiety levels would just boil over, but then I wouldn't tell anyone about it. So they'd boil over into my head. Your head can only take so much before it starts to affect you.
I wish that she told us sooner. Nobody, honestly, none of us thought that she was unhappy. Honor has such a happy disposition. If you ever meet her, like she's so bubbly and happy, and it was just confusing because she had never discussed it with any of us. If Frazzle ever gets upset, she screams and cries about it. If I ever get upset, I'm quite vocal about it. Honor was never vocal about it. And then suddenly, out of the blue, it was like, oh no, she's been having this really hard time at school. And it's something that now I'm really, really conscious of, is that Honor always battles things privately and secretly, and she will try and hide it from you. And you have to be so on it and aware of it to make sure that she doesn't.
When you're so uncomfortable in your own skin, it doesn't take much for you to like doubt yourself or panic or, you know, set alarm bells off everywhere. Anything would set me off. I could see my family was struggling enough. I don't want to burden them with anything else.
I was shocked to begin with, and then I was really upset, and then I was really, really angry.
When the feelings that I was feeling just got so much, you just want it to stop. I just wanted it to stop. Like I just wanted to be able to breathe again. You know, it's not like I sat there and said, yes, I just want to die. I couldn't think or do anything. Like, you know, I wasn't living. I was just in pure panic mode all the time. And I just wanted it to stop. And so that's when it comes to the point where it's like, well, how do I get it to just stop? And that's when you're like, well, you know, you just end your life. That's how I can just get it to stop. Like, I legit would go to bed and I'd pray that I suffocate in my bed. I'd, you know, hold my breath under the water in a bath, or I got pills. You know, my dad had had a back operation, so I remember once I stole his back painkiller things, or I don't even know what they were disgusting. And, you know, you just try to swallow as many as you can, or just try anything, to the point where it gave me comfort to stash pills away. So I'd hide them under my bed, and I'd just slowly build up my little stash. Like, it put my mind to ease to think, when it gets too much, I can just end it. I have a get out plan. I'm not trapped.
I just remember thinking it was the most selfish thing that she could possibly have ever done, to think of taking herself away from us. At the time, it was just a case of, what can we do to help her? You don't really give yourself time to let yourself think those things. After it happened, I went and saw a counsellor and spoke it all through, and that I think really helped me, because it's also really confusing to think of all of that. I'm not angry anymore, and you start to educate yourself about it, and you realise they weren't doing it to be selfish. They were doing it because they were going through something that they couldn't control, and you were all just doing your best.
Within that year, my parents weren't having a great relationship, so family life was a struggle. One night I just had a fight with my friend. She wanted me to go to a park and I didn't want to go, and she got really upset with me. Something so stupid, and I just flipped. It was just that tip of the iceberg, and I just lost it. I just thought, I can't do this anymore. Prior to trying loads of things, nothing was working. So I broke down, and my mum and dad were just so shocked. They were like, what the hell has happened? What's gone wrong? That was it. Everything just came out. I told them I was unhappy. I told them I wanted to die. I told them I couldn't cope anymore. I was struggling in all aspects of life. I think it's a shock to anyone to find out that the kid you think's all smiles has actually tried to kill themselves a couple of times and is really hating life.
Being the oldest, you're supposed to be able to protect your siblings, and this was something that was happening that I had no idea it was happening. And then not even, I can't even beat myself up about the fact that it happened. It was after that, and it's the years that came post that. It's every single time she gets depressed after that, I feel a huge sense of responsibility and duty to make sure that she's okay. To make sure that when I know she's going through it again, she's not at a train station and she's thinking about jumping in front of a train. Or there were times, I remember maybe a couple of months after the time that we all found out, she locked herself in her room and she was crying and crying and crying. And I think I stayed outside her door for maybe 4 hours trying to get her out, because it was just a case of, I will just do this if it means that she's going to be okay. You just don't even think about it.
That was the start of everything. Because of my anxiety, it stopped me from doing things, and so I found space in my bedroom. And it's not healthy to be in your bedroom all the time. And then eventually I got a car, and I had this freedom to go and leave my mind, leave my bedroom. I need to just think and not feel the anxiety. So it's think and be alone. When I'm having an anxiety attack, I feel claustrophobic. I feel like I can't breathe. And so when I'm in St Andrews Woods, I can breathe. I feel alive. There's wind. There's air to soak in, and you're not getting tramped on by people, or it's sort of a space of no judgment. You're just you and a couple of trees. What are a couple of trees gonna do? It's just freeing.
I wouldn't say that she's always genuinely happy, but she makes other people genuinely happy, and they love her and they want to help her and protect her. And when she went through that as a teenager, she got really, really low, and she completely lost that sense of how valuable she is to people who care for her. And then she went through something that was really difficult, and it was a long road. It was years and years in the making, and she was really brave. It takes so much to admit that you have a problem. It takes so much to tell your parents that you're going to try and kill yourself rather than actually do it. It takes a lot to go to every single counselling session, and she did all of that, and she got through all of that, and now she's living independently. She's happy. She does things now that I never would have, imagined. She went travelling. I remember seeing a photo of her playing with children in a lake in Madagascar and thinking, that's the little girl that couldn't even go and order a cup of tea in a cafe. She's changed phenomenally. But on the whole, I think she's comfortable with knowing who she is, even if who she is somebody who has depression.
I am on antidepressants. 7 years I've been on and off of them now. I'd go on them for a period of time, and then I'd start to feel better about life. And you kind of think, maybe it's because of the pills. So I'd stop them, because I think ever since I tried to overdose with pills, I really can't take pills anymore. When I look back, when I'm not on them, my anxiety boils over. Things hit me harder than they would. There's such a correlation with me being happy and being on pills. That scares me because I don't want to be on pills forever.
You have to accept that this is a part of who they are now, and they may well always suffer with this for the rest of their lives. The biggest advice I would give is just to love them and to sit next to them and don't say anything. If they're crying, just hug them. If they need to just go over and over and over something, let them. You kind of have to let them take the lead and just be a shadow almost in their life, like in the background, knowing that whenever they feel like they're about to fall, you are going to be there, and they just need to know that you're there. I think it's hard when they're not saying it for sure, but it may well be that actually they're just absolutely petrified because it's really scary, and maybe they just need someone that they love to just say, look, are you going through a hard time? And if you are, you don't need to talk to me about it now. You don't even need to talk to me about it, but I will be here for you, and I will find someone for you to talk to if that's what you need.
20 years ago, you know, it wasn't spoken about, it wasn't discussed, people didn't know what it was. I grew up not knowing what it was. It's like as simple as just like loving yourself. And I think even I'm not there yet. Like, I don't 100% love myself. I'm not 100% happy with who I am as a person, but to know that I'm working towards that, you're loving yourself enough to love life as well. You can't love life if you don't love yourself. Like, you can't love people if you don't love yourself. Like, it starts with you and ends with you. And once you have that sorted, you're good.